Hello, friends. Steve Stockton here with you. Welcome to our latest episode. Today, we bring you 5 mysterious unsolved disappearances. Join me. Let's walk and see. First up, Aaron Holmes Silverman. 17-year-old Aaron Holmes Silverman enjoyed playing guitar and fishing. Sadly, he did not get along well with his parents, who were separated and struggling financially. However, according to his best friend, Sean Gwynn, while he argued with him, they did not have severe relationship problems. Aaron was not interested in high school and would sometimes use illicit substances. In 1993, Aaron's parents became increasingly worried about their son's behavior. They claimed that he often partied excessively and would go missing for days without a word. Despite their efforts to regulate his behavior, Aaron believed that he knew what was best and continued to be disobedient like many teenagers. On June 5, 1993, Aaron and his brother Drew attended a house party in Norfolk, Virginia. According to Drew, everyone at the party was under the influence. Drew said that Aaron spent most of the night with a go-go dancer who was fascinated by Aaron's charisma. The go-go dancer, whose name has not been disclosed, left the party with Aaron that evening. She was believed to be one of the last to have seen him. Aaron's parents were used to his partying and rebellious behavior, so they were not immediately worried when he failed to return home after the party. Everyone assumed that he had stayed the night with a girl or stayed at a friend's place. His family believed Aaron would show up a few days later, as he had done before, but something was different this time. According to the Virginian Pilot newspaper, Aaron, quote, didn't take anything with him. No jeans, no underwear, no toothbrush, not his beloved guitar, nor his favorite fishing rod. He didn't tell anyone he was leaving. Not his best friend, Sean Gwynn, nor his brother, Drew, with whom he had partied, nor his sister, Naomi, who had spent many afternoons fishing with Aaron, end quote. Aaron's brother, Drew, said he saw Aaron leave the party with a dancer. He told the girl we had a boat and that he could take her out, Drew said. When an entire week had passed without any sign of Aaron, Ron Silverman looked at his son, Drew, and said, something's wrong. After a couple of weeks, Ron reported Aaron missing to the Norfolk police. Since there was no evidence of foul play, the police initially thought that Aaron had run away with a go-go dancer, as he had a history of being away from home for extended periods. However, the police's lack of interest in the case prompted Aaron's parents to begin their own search for their son. Aaron's parents were separated at the time of his disappearance, and it appears that Aaron had been going through personal hardships. Aaron's mother, Debbie, told the Virginian Pilot, quote, I figured he'd show up. Then, as time went on, I thought maybe he'd ran off with a group of friends to do something wild, like follow the Grateful Dead around. That's the kind of thing Aaron would do, end quote. Aaron's father, Ron, started frequenting different bars in the Newport area in hopes of finding out what happened to his son. He learned about a woman who was a dancer and whose boyfriend resembled Aaron. She lived in a trailer park and drove a red Pontiac Trans Am. However, it's uncertain whether she had any connection with Aaron, as her identity was never established. Unfortunately, his father was unable to track this woman down. Ron contacted the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, who created and distributed a missing person poster of Aaron across the country and sent a stack to the Silvermans. The Silverman family members put up posters in various locations where they believed Aaron could be found. These locations included fishing spots in Willoughby, convenience stores in Ocean View, and festivals that Aaron had previously attended with his friends. Furthermore, Debbie sent flyers to truck stops in San Diego after consulting with a psychic who told her that Aaron might be living in Southern California. Debbie told the Virginian Pilot, quote, you worry. You go through periods thinking he couldn't be alive. It's a little something that's always there, but you go on. You can't walk around in despair, end quote. Since 1993, there have been few updates in Aaron's case, and he remains missing. Aaron Holmes Silverman is described as a Caucasian male with blonde hair and blue eyes, 5 foot 10 inches tall and 130 pounds. He has brown moles on his body and was last seen wearing a white shirt, faded jeans, black Converse tennis shoes, and a coral necklace. Anyone with any information regarding Aaron's disappearance or whereabouts is asked to contact the Norfolk, Virginia Police Department at 757-664-3277 and reference case number 236641. Next, Sabrina Bree Kaler. Sabrina Bree Kaler was a 20-year-old woman known for her loving and caring nature. Despite having a mild disability that left her with the mental capacity of a 14-year-old, Bree was excelling in life. However, her condition often made her more trusting and naive than others her age, and, in 2002, she went missing under mysterious circumstances. On June 24, 2002, Bree left her home in Erie County, Pennsylvania, and entered 26-year-old David Sherman Heck's red and black Ford Bronco. She wore a bathing suit, shorts, and gym shoes, and said she'd return by 4 p.m. that afternoon. David was a friend of Bree's live-in boyfriend, and, due to her disability, she was incredibly trusting even toward those she barely knew. David and Sabrina drove to a local swimming hole at Eagley Park, where several witnesses saw them. The pair swam briefly, but their peaceful day was disrupted when David's ex-girlfriend arrived. As per news reports, David had a heated argument with his ex-girlfriend, whose name has not been given. The dispute between the two had been ongoing, and they even fought the previous day. David and Bree left the swimming spot to avoid further trouble and went to the Tasty Twist ice cream stand. There, David contacted the local authorities to report the altercation with his ex-girlfriend. The official reports state that a state trooper arrived at the location and took them back to the swimming spot to settle the matter. David and his ex-girlfriend finally agreed to leave each other alone. However, what happened to Bree after this incident is still a mystery, as she has not been seen or heard from since. Witnesses reported seeing Bree and David at the swimming hole earlier that day, and the state trooper remembers escorting them back. According to David, after resolving the matter with his ex-girlfriend, he drove Bree to the West Erie Plaza movie theater so she could watch a movie. David said they were going home, but Bree wanted to watch a movie, so he gave her money for the film and a ride home. However, there is no record of Bree entering the cinema, and investigators doubt whether she even made it to the plaza. Investigators have considered David a suspect in her disappearance from day one, but there has never been enough evidence to implicate him. Bree may have been spotted in the Elk Creek access area on June 24, 2002, although this witness report has never been substantiated. After Bree disappeared, David was arrested and charged with burglary. In 2009, Bree's parents made the heartbreaking decision to have her declared deceased in absentia and hope that one day her case will be solved. Bree's sister said, "Her blue eyes were so bright and full of life, and I'm afraid that this man has taken that away from her, but we have no proof. Bree would have called by now. She would have certainly contacted my mother or brother Scott." Sabrina Bree May Kaler is described as a Caucasian female with dark blonde hair and blue eyes, 5'1" to 5'3" inches tall, and 125 to 135 pounds. One of her ears is pierced, and she has braces. She was last seen wearing a two-piece bathing suit, a pink or red top, blue shorts, and white sneakers. Anyone with any information regarding Bree's disappearance or whereabouts is asked to contact the Erie, Pennsylvania Police Department, 814-870-1125, and reference case number 0223863. Next, we have Melanie Marie James. On April 20, 2014, 21-year-old Melanie Marie James left her home in Farmington, New Mexico, to search for a job and never returned. According to her mother, Layla Mailman, Melanie was walking down the street when she disappeared. Melanie was known for her friendly and outgoing personality, which made it easy for her to make friends with everyone. She was also affectionately described as a goofball and was always lively and bright. According to Melanie's sister, the last confirmed sighting of Melanie was near McKinley Elementary School, located on 20th Street and Butler Avenue in Farmington. Melanie's sister saw her in the company of an unidentified man. Her sister did not recognize the man, and Melanie was no longer there when she circled back to the school. When Melanie failed to return home, her mother immediately called and texted her. It wasn't usual for Melanie to disappear for a few days without any communication, so her mother became worried. Melanie always got back in contact with her family after a few hours or day. This time, something felt off. Layla's motherly instincts kicked into overdrive, and after failing to reach her daughter or find her in the community, she sought the assistance of the Farmington Police Department. In an interview with the Durango Herald, Layla recounted how the on-duty police officer declined to take the report since Melanie had not been missing for more than 48 hours. Layla informed the officer that it had already been 2 days since she had last seen or heard from her daughter, but the officer still refused to file the report. According to Layla, the officer said, quote, "The clock starts from the time you walk into my office," end quote. Frustrated, Layla had to wait 2 more days before involving the Farmington PD. Melanie's loved ones and community members searched anxiously for her while waiting for the authorities. However, nothing was found during the search. Later in the investigation, someone handed in a bag, which possibly belonged to Melanie, to the Farmington Police Department. The bag was spattered with what appeared to be bloodstains and contained 2 phones and a letter addressed to Melanie. Whether the bag was analyzed or simply discarded and stored in the evidence locker is unclear. In 2015, there was a potential sighting of Melanie, but the location is unknown. Witnesses claimed to have seen her at a family dollar store in September of that year. However, very little information is available about this sighting, and Melanie's case remains unsolved. Melanie Marie James is described as a Native American female with brown hair and brown eyes, standing 5'1" to 5'2" inches tall and weighing between 115 and 120 pounds. She has a spade tattoo on her right pointer finger knuckle and was last seen wearing a blue bandana shirt, light blue jeans, and black sneakers. Anyone with any information is asked to contact the Farmington, New Mexico Police Department at 505-599-1070 and reference case number 32011-14. Next, Jeffrey and Althea Blankenship. On March 27, 1973, 3-year-old Jeffrey Dean Blankenship and his mother, 23-year-old Althea Blankenship, were last seen in Port Townsend, Washington. Their roommate, Glenn Allen Bagley, claimed that he drove Althea and Jeffrey to the Seattle-Tacoma International Airport so they could board their flight to Greece. Althea was of Greek descent, and the family often traveled to Greece to visit her side of the family. According to the available records, there is no evidence that Jeffrey or Althea ever boarded a flight from the Seattle-Tacoma Airport. Several years later, Althea's parents stumbled upon her passport, which was hidden away and had no entry stamps for Greece. Althea's mother also noticed that she stopped receiving letters from her daughter in April 1973. As they used to write each other almost daily, Althea's mother sensed something was wrong when the letters stopped coming. Althea's mother contacted the roommate, Glenn Allen Bagley, to inquire about her daughter's whereabouts, why she and Jeffrey did not arrive in Greece, and why the letters stopped abruptly. Glenn told her that he dropped Althea and Jeffrey off at the airport, and they were headed for New York City and then on to Greece. Glenn maintained his innocence until he passed away in 2016, although he was also possibly connected to other disappearances. Glenn Allen Bagley is suspected of being involved in the disappearance of his ex-wife, Esther Gessler, who vanished from Auburn, Washington, on March 13, 1976, under mysterious circumstances. Esther's case deserves special attention, and Bagley is the only suspect in her disappearance. Despite being questioned, Bagley never provided details about Esther's, Althea's, or Jeffrey's disappearance. With Bagley's passing, the truth may never be known. Some articles suggest that Bagley and Althea were romantically involved, while others claim they were just roommates. Since Althea and Jeffrey disappeared, various age composite sketches have been created showing what they might look like now. Jeffrey is described as a Caucasian male with brown hair and brown eyes, 3'5" tall and 75 pounds at the time of his disappearance. Althea is described as a Caucasian female with brown or blonde hair, blue eyes, standing 5'7" and 140 pounds. Anyone with information is asked to contact the Kent, Washington Police Department at 253-856-5800 and reference case number 76-705. Lastly, Dorothy Dottie Kaler. On June 12, 1985, Jewel Kaler drove his 41-year-old wife Dorothy, Dottie Kaler, to a train station in Pleasant Hill, California. After arriving at the station, Dottie purchased a train ticket, a simple task that millions of people do every day. However, for Dottie, it was a test of her courage. Dottie suffered from agoraphobia, an overwhelming fear of being in public places. It is unclear whether or not Dottie boarded the train, as she has not been seen or heard from since that day. Initially, Dottie's friends assumed she had left her unhappy marriage behind to start a new life in another city. However, as time passed without any news from Dottie, her sister, Diane Rusnak, began to suspect Jewel for her sister's disappearance. "I think that Dottie could have disappeared to get even with her husband, who had disappeared on her for half of their married life," Diane said. Dottie married Jewel Kaler in 1973. According to Jewel, as she grew older, her home in Concord became a self-imposed prison. Jewel said, quote, "Dottie would stay inside most of the time. She wouldn't even apply for a job, much less hold one down. It was a real problem," end quote. Dottie and Jewel's marriage gradually worsened over time. Due to Jewel's work, he was often away from home, and Dottie was often left alone. However, things took a violent turn on Thanksgiving Day in 1981 when their relationship reached a boiling point. Dottie's friend, Paula Powers, recalled the first time Dottie and Jewel had a physical altercation. Quote, "She told me that they got in an argument. It escalated to the point where he finally hit her with a board or something," end quote, Paula said. According to Jewel, it was Dottie who initiated the fight. In 1984, Dottie joined a Women in Transition support group and attended meetings for over a year. Jewel was unaware that Dottie had joined this group. Dottie's friend, Shelley Wilson, noticed an instantaneous change in her friend. Shelley said, quote, "As time went on, I would notice she was adding a little more color to her outfits. She cut her hair in a new style, which was a very scary thing for her. It was as if a new Dottie were emerging." Dottie took some secretive actions without Jewel's knowledge. She rented a post office box to receive her mail secretly. She also opened a personal bank account and transferred $5,000 into a cashier's check. Jewel was shocked to learn about his wife's deceitful behavior. Jewel said, quote, "She had secret lives, a secret existence that I knew nothing about, and she wanted it that way. I wasn't even aware of it. I was just suspicious," end quote. 1 month prior to Dottie's disappearance, Jewel notified her that he had accepted a job transfer to Salt Lake City. Dottie told him she was not interested in going with him. Jewel said, quote, "Dottie had said, in the event that I got transferred, she was not interested in going with me. So I wasn't expecting her to go with me, and wouldn't even have wanted her to, I guess," end quote. On Wednesday, June 12, 1985, Dottie set off on a trip to visit a friend just a few days before Jewel was scheduled to leave for Salt Lake City. Jewel drove Dottie to the train station and was confident that Dottie had her purse and overnight bag with her as she walked in. However, it's unclear whether Dottie boarded the train or not. Jewel said, quote, "I dropped her off and she walked around the corner of the station and disappeared," end quote. The following day, Jewel took the train back home from work. He was surprised to find Dottie's blue 1963 Volkswagen Beetle beside his car in the train station parking lot. "I walked over and looked inside, and there I noticed her purse, and that was very, very strange," Jewel said. Dottie's driver's license, $30, and library card were inside the vehicle. Shelley Wilson also found it odd that Dottie left her purse behind. She told me how important it was to her to have her purse with her all the time. "That's one of the things that made me feel so terribly upset when I realized she had not taken her purse with her," Shelley said. Jewel left notes on Dottie's car for the next 4 days, asking her to contact him. He expressed his love for her in the notes and pleaded with Dottie to come home. Jewel waited for 5 more days before filing a missing persons report. Jewel moved to Salt Lake City 2 weeks later, where he built a comfortable new life. Jewel said, quote, "It was hell living with Dottie. It was hell having her disappear the way that she did. And yet, since I've gotten here and gotten settled into a new job and that whole problem is behind me, things are really pretty good," end quote. Jewel never contacted Dottie's family or friends to see if they knew her whereabouts. Jewel proposed to a co-worker just 6 months before Dottie disappeared. He later wrote a letter to his fiancée stating that he had gone to great lengths for them to be together. He also wrote that he had never been in love before he met her. Shortly after Dottie was reported missing, Jewel moved to Utah and put his and Dottie's shared home up for rent. He ensured that all of Dottie's belongings were stored and that the house was thoroughly cleaned and redecorated before the new tenants and the police could see it. Then, in January of 1988, the Concord Police Department received a strange letter from Gary, Indiana. The police determined that DNA from saliva on the stamp and envelope belonged to a male. However, they were unable to match it to anyone. A document examiner believes the letter's handwriting was similar to Jewel's. The letter accused Jewel of being responsible for Dottie's disappearance and provided details on where her remains could be found. A search was conducted in the area, but Dottie was never found. There's not enough evidence to conclusively link Jewel to Dottie's disappearance. Now, it is unknown whether Dottie Kaler left to escape her troubled marriage or was the target of a crime. According to Detective Donald Mage of the Concord Police Department, if the case turned out to be more than a simple disappearance, Jewel and anyone close to Dottie at that time would be considered suspects. Dottie Dorothy Kaler is described as a Caucasian female with brown hair and blue eyes, standing 5 foot 9 inches tall and weighing 140 pounds. She has a scar above her left eye and wears plastic-framed glasses. Anyone with any information regarding Dottie's disappearance or whereabouts is asked to contact the Concord, California Police Department at 925-671-5074 and reference case number 8512575. Well, friends, there you have it. What do you think of these 5 mysterious unsolved disappearances? As always, I look forward to your comments, but please keep it friendly and respectful. Until we meet again, be good to yourselves and each other. Stay safe out there. As for me, I'll see you a little further on down the trail. I'm Steve Stockton, and I'll talk to you next time. And please, tell your animals I said hi.